You know, we've all been talking about how AI is mastering language. But what if I told you that AI is undergoing an even more profound transformation? It's learning a completely new language. Not one of words, but of space, of dimension, of reality itself. We are right at the dawn of a new cognitive dimension for machines.
Wow, just think about that for a second. This isn't just about AI describing our world anymore. As this quote puts it, it's about AI learning to build our world from the ground up. And that shift from description to creation is what makes this feel like a true civilizational leap.
Okay, so to really get our heads around this, let's compare it to what we already know so well, large language models, LLMs, right? They think in sentences. They describe reality. But 3D AI? It thinks in physical space. It doesn't just describe reality, it generates a version of it that you can actually experience, that you can navigate. It builds worlds you can literally walk through.
And that right there marks our first major topic, this incredible leap away from the flat, abstract intelligence of words and into the volumetric, tangible intelligence of worlds.
The core concept we're talking about here is called spatial intelligence. Basically, we're talking about AI systems that truly understand things like geometry, physics, and perception. So instead of just dealing with pixels and text, it's working with stuff like 3D meshes. You can think of those as the digital skeletons of objects, and point clouds, which are millions of tiny dots that map out a space. The whole point is to turn your ideas directly into a spatial reality.
And here it is, the crucial difference, boiled down to one simple example. An LLM can give you a perfect, beautiful paragraph about a chair. A 3D AI system gives you a chair you can walk around, interact with, and that understands it exists in a world with physics. One is a story, the other is a manifestation.
So, how on earth is any of this even possible? I mean, how does an AI go from just lines of code to building an entire cosmos? Let's break down the key technological breakthroughs that actually got us here. You can kind of see the evolution right here. First, we had these things called NeRFs, which basically taught AI how to create a 3D scene from just a handful of 2D pictures. Then, Gaussian splatting came along and made it possible to render those scenes in real time, which is absolutely vital for stuff like VR. And finally, diffusion models, the same magic behind AI image generators, learned how to create complex 3D objects out of thin air, starting from nothing more than a cloud of digital noise.
And this isn't just one single technology, right? It's a whole bunch of powerful ideas all converging at once. We've got models that can synthesize incredibly complex geometry, systems that use plain English to guide the creation process, and even something called embodied AI, where virtual agents learn about the physical world by actually moving and interacting inside these generated 3D environments.
Okay, enough of the theory. Let's get to the fun part. Where is this technology actually making an impact today? The truth is, the applications are already out there, and they are quietly reshaping some massive industries.
Let's kick things off with autonomous driving. This is the perfect example of spatial intelligence in action. A self-driving car doesn't just see other cars. No, it builds a live, dynamic 3D map of everything around it, and it's constantly predicting the trajectory of every single object in that map. It's the difference between just looking at a picture and having true situational awareness.
And this right here, this gets to the very heart of it. A simple camera can identify a person, but a 3D AI system gives you this level of predictive spatial understanding. This ability to anticipate what's going to happen next is what makes truly autonomous decision-making not just possible, but safe.
Next up, immersive entertainment. 3D AI is pretty much the engine that's making AR and VR truly responsive and intelligent. Just imagine a VR game where the world is literally generated around you based on what you do, or an AR app that can place a virtual dragon in your living room so realistically that it has perfect lighting and shadows. This tech is even smart enough to predict your movements to help reduce that awful motion sickness some people get in VR.
And you know, while some people might think the hype around XR has faded a bit, the reality is completely different. The market is seeing steady, significant growth year after year. This isn't just some niche novelty anymore. It's a maturing platform where 3D AI is becoming absolutely essential.
But perhaps the most profound application of all is in healthcare. Surgeons can now take a flat MRI scan and turn it into a 3D holographic model of a patient's organ. They can literally see it and manipulate it during a procedure. It's a total game changer. Doctors are no longer just viewing anatomy, they are entering it.
And the results? They're just staggering. I mean, look at these numbers. This isn't a small improvement. We are talking about dramatic increases in surgical accuracy and massive reductions in the time it takes to do these complex operations. This is technology that is directly saving and improving lives, right now.
Okay, this all sounds amazing, but of course, a transformation this big doesn't happen without some serious challenges and ethical questions that we absolutely have to talk about.
And these hurdles are very, very real. First, there's just the sheer computational power required. These systems need a ton of GPU resources. Then you have the disruption to creative jobs. It's not just about jobs vanishing, but the role of a designer might completely change, from a hands-on creator to more of a creative director who guides an AI. But the deeper questions are where it gets really complex. What happens when these generated worlds become so influential they can be used to manipulate how people behave? And bigger picture, how do we navigate a future where the line between physical reality and hyper-realistic simulation starts to blur for everyone? These are the conversations we need to be having like yesterday.
Which brings us to our final section. Let's zoom out for a second. Beyond all the tech and the challenges, what does this all mean for us, for creativity, and for our understanding of reality itself? This, right here, is the central point. We are watching a fundamental democratization of reality. For centuries, building worlds was something only architects and highly skilled artists could do. Now, that power, the power to create a space, an environment, an entire world, is being put into the hands of anyone with an idea.
And that leaves us with a pretty fascinating thought, doesn't it? This technology marks a huge shift from passive imagination to active construction. The creative act is no longer just about describing a world or painting a world. It's about bringing it into existence with a command. The age of spatial intelligence is here.